Hello Year 8, hope you're all okay. We are carrying on with the topic of digestion today. We are going to move on to unhealthy diet and we're going to have a double lesson on this topic. So we're going to be explaining the problems of not eating a balanced diet. In the first half, we're going to complete a Do Now Connect activity as always. You're going to make some notes on key points. There's a video for us to watch on unhealthy diet and health where there's a couple of questions related to that video to answer. Moving on from that, we're going to calculate BMI. Now, I'll do it first in this PowerPoint and go through it, and then you can have a go. And then we're going to move on to completing our own summary table of health problems related to obesity. So once we've understood fully what we mean by obesity, how it happens, we're going to look at some of the health problems related to it. We'll finish off this half of the lesson by completing a couple of energy calculations, looking at different diets. In the second half of this lesson, we're going to complete the apply task. So the apply task for this lesson is going to be to write your own article on the importance of a balanced diet. There will be lots of support there. There's 2 different levels to choose from, either bronze, silver or gold. It is completely up to you which one you pick. It might be worth having a look at both and deciding which one you feel happier doing. We'll finish the lesson by reviewing that article. It's really important though that that article is what you are going to submit to your teachers for them to look at, okay? So we're going to put all of our effort, all the information that we get through today's lesson into that article for your teachers to see. Just as a little reminder for you, there's a pink box on nearly every slide in your PowerPoints for home learning. Those pink boxes are just instructions for you on what you need to do on each slide. Obviously you've got me going through it as well, but just as a reminder for you, they are there just to give you a hint on what you should be doing. Okay, so this is your Do Now Connect activity. You have got 4 keywords, okay, in the pink rectangle box. So you've got scurvy, rickets, obesity and starvation. I'd like you to think about how those words could be linked. Now, if you go back to your nutrients lesson, the first lesson on home learning, you might recognise some of these words. You might have a couple of ideas. That's fine if you want to look back, but have a good think. How are those words linked? The pictures are there to help you out. What might this have to do with today's lesson? The next couple of slides are new information for you to make notes on. This slide goes through energy needs. So each person's needs are slightly different when it comes to energy. So there's a couple of factors that this depends on: gender, age, and the amount of daily activity they do. To give you an idea, there are 2 examples for you on this slide, just to help you see in practice why these things might affect our energy needs. Okay, so we've talked about that we need different amounts of energy, but how do we actually know how much energy we are consuming? Again, this might be one where you need to think back to some of those things you saw in the nutrients lesson and the food packaging. Can you remember anything about the energy content? Okay, so we've talked about energy needs and we've talked about the energy content of foods. But what actually happens if the amount of energy you get from your food is different from the amount of energy you need? It might be worth pausing here so you can have a think for yourselves and jot down some ideas. Okay, so there are 3 main things that are likely to happen. Firstly, your diet is going to be imbalanced because you are getting more or less energy than you actually need. Secondly though, if you have too little, you are going to be underweight. Whereas if you have too much, you are going to be overweight. Can we make sure that we have made notes on this slide and we are clear on how the amount of energy we consume in our food might affect our health and our diet? What I'd like you to start by doing here is just pausing for a second and writing down what you already know about health issues caused by an unhealthy diet, because I'm sure a lot of you have already got some prior knowledge. So jot down what you already know. Now I'd like you to watch the video. So as always, just click on the video recorder link or picture on the slide. As long as you're in present, you'll be able to click on it and it will take you straight to the video in YouTube. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to answer some questions based on that video. So it might be worth familiarising yourself with the 7 questions below first, so that you can look out for the answers whilst you watch the video. So a person is said to be obese if they have such a high excess of body fat that their health might be affected. Health workers use body mass index to try and assess obesity. It's important that we are able to calculate BMI, body mass index. So the calculation for you, the equation is below, as well as an example for you of how I have calculated the BMI of a person. So in my example, this person has a mass of 60 kilograms and a height of 1.65 meters. We know that BMI is mass divided by height squared. So I'm going to put these numbers into my equation. So my BMI is going to equal 60 kilograms divided by 1.65 meters squared. Okay, now if we do that in a calculator, we should get 22 kilograms per meter squared. Okay, now with that, we can then go and look. There's a specific scale that sets out where people are obese, where people are healthy body weight or underweight. So a person is overweight if their BMI is between 25 and 30. A person with a BMI of over 30 is said to be obese. So for this person, they are not overweight or obese, which is good news. Now, usually here, I'd like to do this one as a class, but obviously we can't at the minute. So in this scenario, the person has a mass of 80 kilograms and a height of 1.55 meters, and you need to calculate their BMI. You've got the equation above. All you need to do is put those numbers from the question into that equation. Okay, so in this instance, our BMI is going to be 80 kilograms divided by 1.55 meters squared. If you can just work that out, double check it, and then we'll move through and we can check our answer and have a go at another one. Okay, so this one is for you to do by yourself. This time the person has a mass of 99 kilograms and a height of 1.9 meters. I'd like you to calculate their BMI, and if you can, tell me whether they are underweight, overweight or obese. Okay, so obesity increases the risk of some life-threatening health problems, including heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and certain types of cancer. Now, what I'd like you to do is, using the information provided in the resources section, so you'll have to skip to the other document, I'd like you to complete a summary table for me. There is a summary table for you on the next slide to help you out. And what I'd like you to do is go through some of the health implications for each one, any factors that contribute to getting that disease, and any advice that you could give to someone with that problem to help them improve their health. So here is a copy of the summary table we want you to complete. We are focusing on cardiovascular disease and diabetes. For each one, you need to give any detail you can about the health implications, the dietary factors contributing to its development. So if there's anything particular about diet and what we eat and consume that might make us more likely or less likely to have this problem. And then finally, any advice about diet that could help to manage the condition and manage their health. All of this information is in the resources folder document, so just go there and you can find all the information you need about these health problems. Please make sure that when you're completing this table, you're adding as much detail as you can and you're writing in full sentences. Sometimes with my groups especially, when I give them a table, they don't write a lot of detail, they just give short answers. You need to put as much information into this as you can, because it's going to be really important with some of the applied tasks you're going to do. The final part of this half of our unhealthy diet lesson is going to be focusing on energy calculations. So the average man needs around 10,470 kilojoules per day, and the average woman needs around 8,370. Food labels will tell us how much energy a food will provide us. So I've given you a couple of examples. Okay, you've got baked beans, bread and grated cheese, and roughly what their energy will be. Remember, it depends on the exact baked beans and the exact bread, but this is a guide from what I've got. What I'd like you to do is use these numbers to tell me how a woman could manage to meet her daily needs, okay, for energy using just those 3 foods. So you're going to have to do a bit of maths here, calculate what could she eat to meet her daily requirement for energy using those 3 foods. Remember, she needs 8,370 kilojoules per day. Okay, so now I'd like you to do exactly the same thing as what we did before, but this time using those 3 foods. Can you work out how we could get the daily energy needs for a man met using those 3 foods? Okay, so this is the second half of our unhealthy diet lesson. This is where we're going to complete the apply task to demonstrate the understanding and knowledge we've gained so far in this lesson. Now, the question at the top says, what has caused the student to be so tired? Your task is to write an article on the importance of a balanced diet, and you're going to need to explain what a balanced diet is and suggest the types of food a student should eat to achieve this. You should use the information provided and the success criteria in the progress table to help you complete the task. My advice to you is that you start by looking at that progress table and the success criteria so that you know what you need to include to get to the top grades. Make sure that you're clear on what you should include, maybe plan that out first and then write your article. If you're unsure, there is also a support sheet to help you with planning and writing your article. You should choose from the 2 levels, so there is either a bronze silver task or a gold task. Have a look at both, decide which one you feel more comfortable doing and complete that task. If you are able to, complete it on the Word document. If you are not, then obviously complete it on paper, but you do need to submit this to your teacher. If you find this easy peasy and you want to add a little bit more challenge, then include a sample daily meal planner. So give me a sample of what breakfast, lunch and dinner would look like, plus any snacks for that student. Now, as I've said, this is going to be submitted to your teacher. This is the work your teacher needs to see. So what I think we need to do next, once we've written our article, is review it. So check your work, go through the progress table, tick off the boxes that you think you've achieved on the progress table. What stage are you at? Are you developing? Are you secure? Are you mastering? What do you need to do to reach the next level? Okay, and I want you to make sure that if there's 1 or 2 bullet points that you've not got on that ladder that would get you to the next level, you go and complete those and then submit it to your teacher so your teacher can see the very best you can do. Then your teacher can double check and see where we're at.